This is the informal sector. Informal sector refers to a part of the society which consists of workers who are not part of any government policies like taxes and some programs. This sector includes workers like street vendors, public market workers, sari-sari store owner, and the likes.
The informal sector has played a huge part in our daily lives. The transportation we pay for, the vegetables we get from public markets, the sari-sari store we rely on are all parts of this sector. During the pandemic, all workers suffered to sustain the basic needs of their family.
We interviewed a young business owner to know her experiences as part of the informal sector during the quarantine.
So my name is Zarian Nicole G. Santos. I am 22 years old and I'm currently a second year student in San Pedro College in the program of PSPT, Physical Therapy. Currently, I co-own Flip Studios Davao, a self-shoot studio located at Obregon. In starting the business, the challenges that we encountered was that the lack of capital. We started with a very small capital and later on we realized that it wasn't enough to open or to ensure the business that we planned of. And introducing a new type of service in the market is quite handy because the time that we opened our business, there were also two other stores that is similar with our service that opened at the same time that we opened. So the market was still rocky at that time and the supply was already more than the demand. So it was kind of difficult to establish our name in the industry. I want to stay in the business that I have right now. One, because I am in control of the people, in control of the quality and the type of service that I am giving towards the people. Two, I am doing not just a job, but also a hobby of mine. It's inside the photography field. Also, I wouldn't change this type of job since this type of job, I am currently editorial chief or editorial head of Flip Studios Davao. It brings out my creative side and it helps me hone my skills not just in photography but also in marketing and in advertising.
In the making of this documentary, we asked people who are close to us, our neighbors, friends, and relatives. We gathered informal workers and asked them about what experiences they had during the pandemic lockdown, and they all provided different answers. One worker said he or she chose this type of work because it's the most suitable for the lockdown, in which they couldn't get out of the house. One also said they lost their work during the pandemic. Some of them talked about the opportunities they had during the pandemic. When asked about getting to choose a job, all of them said they wouldn't. They all said positive comments about their job and how it helped them during this hard time. This is a segment from GMA News that shows the government's action towards the informal workers.
May pansamantalang trabahong ibibigay ang Department of Labor and Employment o DOLE sa mga nawalan ng trabaho ngayong ECQ. Sa ilalim ng tupad o tulong panghanap buhay sa ating disadvantaged o displaced workers, isasama sa social community projects ang mga nasa informal sector, kabilang ang mga self-employed, unemployed, sidewalk vendors, magbabalot, labandera, masahista at tricycle drivers. Sa NCR, kikita sila ng 537 pesos kada araw o 5,370 pesos para sa 10 araw na trabaho. Walang kaltas at buo nilang makukuha ang sahod sa remittance centers.
Now, this DZMM interview will give more clarification on the government's help.
Yung pong detalye lang, may binabanggit kayo na tulong sa informal sector na cash aid na arawan pong sweldo. Ano ho ang mechanics noon at paano makapag-a-avail ang ating mga kababayan?
Ganito yan, Brad Ted, no? Ang nagbibigay sa amin ng listahan, either yung congressman or yung mayor or yung barangay captain. On the basis of that list lang ibibigay nila, magdi-distribute kami ng disinfectant para ibibigay namin doon sa mga nakalista at i-disinfect nila unang-una yung bahay nila at saka yung kalye in front of them at saka kung malapit-lapit naman yung kapitbahay, pati yung kapitbahay na. And they will do that for 10 days, Brad, and we will give them a minimum wage of 300 dito sa Manila, 537 ang ibibigay namin. So, total of 5,370.
Opo. Kailan po ito magsisimula, Secretary?
Nagsisimula na po. Nagsisimula na. In fact, I advise our local officials na kako, pag binigyan mo yan ng disinfectant para mag-disinfect, pag hindi mo binigyan ng pera yan, baka hindi gagalaw. Kako, kaya kung maaari, i-advance mo na kahit kalahati ka ako.
So, sa mga nakikinig ngayon sa atin na naghihintay po ng programang ito, para ka mag-qualify, ano muna ang dapat na inyong kwalifikasyon?
Ito yung mga informal workers, Brad. Ito yung mga halimbawa, yung mga tricycle drivers, yung mga jeepney drivers na wala po ng trabaho dahil may quarantine, yung mga sidewalk vendors, kasama lahat dyan. At sila ang nililista ng kanilang mga mayors, yung mga barangay officials, at saka pati mga congressmen nagbibigay ng listahan sa amin.
Opo. So ito ho yung mga manikurista, mga barbero, itong mga labandera na hindi ho makawalis ng
I think the best way to help informal workers at the moment is to support and buy their products. In reality, such business owners do not have large overhead expenses, and if you compare the cost of their products is lower compared to branded products due to not having to pay extra expenses such as rent. In such a way that by supporting their work, be it an at-home small business or street food vendor, by supporting them, they can save enough funds to make their type of work enter the formal sector.
We all know that the pandemic is now affecting informal sector employees. Before digging further, the informal sector is critical because it allows people to work fewer hours and mix their income generating activities with home tasks. The informal sector is more likely to be accepted in some places than others. One of the suitable solutions in order to decrease the number of informal sector research for NGOs that aid this problem because they have enough knowledge and sources to help these individuals. Lastly, it was a really difficult journey when the pandemic struck the country. But what makes it easier for us to conquer the problems is helping someone no matter how small or big it is.
There's many things we can do, even as a student and part of the youth, to help our fellow Filipinos in the informal sector. The first thing that we should do is support them by constantly and regularly using their services, such as transportation, food supplies, and the likes. Even doing your laundry will be a big help for them. Next big thing we could do is advocate for workers like them, so their voices will be heard by the NGOs and the government. Lastly, us Filipinos, we have encountered a lot of problems in our history, but we all faced it by helping each other. No one should be left out.